In this video, I'm going to answer all your questions on losing belly fat. I'm going to explain the key principle in detail in this video, and it doesn't matter whether you want to lose belly fat or chest fat or fat on your face or thighs or shoulders. This video is going to answer all your questions. Whether you are at 45% body fat or 35% body fat or 25% body fat, if you follow these principles closely, you would be able to transform yourself in the next 90 days. There is a lot to cover, so this video is going to be a long one. So make sure that you watch till the end, so that you understand each and every concept really well. Also, somebody famous has said this, that little knowledge is a dangerous thing. All of this that I'm going to talk about in this video is based on scientific knowledge and my own experience of transforming myself 3 times in my life so far. First time at the age of 25, second time at the age of 30, and third time at the age of 40. My aim is that you become your own nutritionist and your own trainer by the end of this video. We will be covering the exact diet plan that you should be following, the amount of protein intake that you should have on a day-to-day basis, the best form of cardio for you, and the best form of exercises that you should be doing in the gym. Also, transforming yourself and staying fit is a lifelong project. It's not a 30-day, 60-day, 90-day challenge. But if you follow these principles for 90 days, you will lay the foundation for the fit and healthy lifestyle that you're looking for. As an added advantage, if you follow these principles to the core, you will see a very different version of yourself in the mirror just in 90 days. Now, in order to understand what a healthy weight loss looks like, we need to understand our body first. Our body is actually made up of muscles, fats, water, bones, organs, etc. And if we are somebody who has 30% body fat, the split of each of this will look like this. We will have 20% muscles, 30% body fat, 40% will be water, and 10% will be our bones, organs, and so on and so forth. When it comes to losing weight by losing muscles is definitely not a very good idea. Losing weight by losing fats is definitely a very good idea. Losing weight by losing water is also not a very good idea. And I'm sure none of us would like to lose our bones and organs to lose weight. Now that you understand the composition of our body, what you have to understand is that there are diets which will help you lose water weight very quickly. And if you follow this diet, just in a span of a week or 2 weeks, you'll be able to see a significant drop on the weighing scale. But as soon as you come back to your normal diet, you will see that weight coming back again. So the best way to lose that body weight is to burn that body fat while preserving or increasing your muscle mass. So that by the end of transformation, you don't end up becoming weaker, but you end up becoming stronger and fitter and healthier. Also ensuring that you lose that fat forever. To do this, we need to understand the part 1 of the transformation game. We need to understand the relationship between calories and weight loss, which I like to refer as the science of weight loss. When it comes to understanding the science of weight loss, we essentially have to understand the concept of calorie in and calorie out. Now, in order to understand the calorie out, we have to understand the ways in which our body utilizes energy. And our body utilizes energy in broadly 4 ways. The number 1 is BMR. BMR is your basal metabolic rate. It is the amount of energy that you're burning when you're not doing anything, when you're resting. It is the minimum amount of energy that your body needs to function on a day-to-day basis. Let's say for somebody like me who's 40-year-old, 175 centimeter in height, 65 kgs in weight, that BMR would be somewhere around 1650 calories. Active energy essentially is the amount of energy that you're burning by doing exercises, by walking, and other activities during the day. So if you're walking, let's say 60-70 minutes per day, then you will be burning somewhere around 500 calories every single day. So I'll add 500 calories here. NEAT is essentially non-exercise activity thermogenesis. This is the energy that people burn when they are fidgeting, when they are tapping, when they are just moving around, doing actions which are subconscious. The amount of energy burnt this way is very minimal, so we'll assume it to be 0 for now. The last is TEF, which is thermogenic effect of food. Some food require more energy to burn than the other food. For example, protein requires more energy than, let's say, carbs or fat to burn and get consumed in the body. But for our calculation, again, we'll assume here that it is closer to 0. So the total calorie out for me on a day-to-day basis is 2150 calories. When it comes to calorie in, it is essentially whatever you're putting inside your body. Whatever you're eating for breakfast, whatever you are eating for lunch, whatever you are eating for dinner, whatever you are eating for snacks, all of that forms the part of the total calorie intake that you have. So let's say in this case, my total calorie in is around 1650 calories. That makes a total deficit of around 500 calories. So 7500 calories equals 1 kg. And if we are making a deficit of 500 calorie, we should be able to lose 1 kg in nearly 15 days. You can use ChatGPT to find out your BMR. Just enter your age, your height, your gender, and your body weight, and ChatGPT will give you the total BMR. Also, if you enter the total number of steps that you're walking every single day, it will also give you the total active calories. If you add the two, that is the total energy expenditure for you on a day-to-day basis. And in order to track how many calories you are consuming on a day-to-day basis, you can use an app like MyFitnessPal, where you can log in your breakfast, your lunch, your dinner, your snacks, and it will give you a good idea of the number of calories that you're consuming on a day-to-day basis. I've covered this topic in detail in another video. You can check the video out after this one is over. Another easy way to achieve a calorie deficit is by skipping one meal. You can skip either breakfast or dinner, and that way you'll be able to bring down your total calorie consumption. This is also called intermittent fasting, and I've covered this topic as well in a separate video. You can watch the same as well after this video is over. Now, before we move on to the second part of the transformation game, we need to understand one more thing, which is protein. Now, if you are able to maintain a calorie deficit but are not focusing on our protein intake, what will happen is that we will start losing our muscle mass and start becoming weaker in the process. This is super important for us Indians because our diet is deficient in protein content. Let me explain this with an example. Our breakfast could be, let's say, 2 idlis, sambar and chutney and a coffee. Our lunch could be, let's say, 2 plain paranthas, 1 aloo gobi curry. We might be having 2 to 3 milk teas in a day, 3 to 4 biscuits as well. And in the dinner, we might be having dal, rice and palak paneer. If you add all of this together, the total number of calories comes to around 2000 calories and the total amount of protein comes around 56 grams. For an average adult who is 70 kg weight, as per the WHO guidelines, you should have 0.8 grams of protein per kg of body weight. As per that maths, 56 grams is a very good quantity. But the problem is that we don't have protein every single day. Even people who are non-vegetarian, they also don't have non-veg every single day. They won't be having it on Tuesdays, they won't be having it on Thursdays and some other days because of our culture and traditions. Now, if you start looking at the average protein content during the span of a week, the number will start looking much lower than the recommended daily allowance of 0.8 gram per kg of body weight. Now, coming to the question, how much of protein should one be eating? As per the WHO guideline, any sedentary person should be having 0.8 grams of protein per kg of body weight every single day. But we are not on this channel to discuss about a sedentary lifestyle. We are here to become the best version of ourselves. We are here to become stronger and get rid of the visceral fat. Now, what is the right amount of protein content for somebody who's active, going out to the gym 2 to 3 times a week and walking on the other days? If you refer to the report from the International Society of Sports Nutrition, they recommend exercising individuals need approximately 1.4 to 2.0 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight per day. The amount is dependent upon the mode and intensity of the exercise, the quality of protein ingested, and the status of energy and carbohydrate intake of the individual. Now, the question is, how do we increase the amount of protein in our diet? Because we have looked at our diet, and our diet, even on best days, just provides 0.8 gram. And what is being recommended here is between 1.4 to 2 grams per kg of body weight. In order to do this, let's look at some of the high protein content food items we have. In this table, you will see that whey protein powder, plant protein powder, they have a significantly high amount of protein. followed by soya chunks, then chicken breast, then rohu fish, followed by paneer, whole egg, and then our famous dals. While we see that dal have a high amount of protein here, 9 grams, but that 9 gram is in 100 grams of dal, 100 grams of dry dal, that is before you put in the water and everything. In reality, the dal that we are eating is much diluted and nowhere close to 100 grams of dal is what you're consuming on a daily basis, which is why dals will not be able to meet your protein requirements. You either have to include protein powders or you have to include soya or paneer in your diet regularly to meet your protein requirement. Now, if you're losing weight, if you're losing body fat, we have to be very careful about the total calories which are coming along with the protein. We have to pick an item which is lowest in calories but has the highest amount of protein. In order to do that, I personally, while I'm vegetarian, have started including egg in my diet, because egg, unlike what is believed and is popular in our culture, is actually vegetarian. There are no chicks going to hatch out of these eggs ever because these eggs are not fertilized. I also supplement my diet with vegan protein powders and whey protein powders to meet these protein requirements. Now, using all the information that I have provided in the video so far, you can easily go to ChatGPT and develop your own customized diet plan. What you have to do is that you have to go to ChatGPT, enter your age, your gender, your height, your weight, the number of steps that you're walking on a day-to-day basis, and that will calculate your BMR and energy expenditure on a day-to-day basis. Now, on top of that, you can enter whether you are a vegetarian or a non-vegetarian, and if you're okay with consuming whey protein powder as well or not. What is the total amount of protein intake which is required basis your current activity level? You can ask ChatGPT to give it in a table format. If you are considering intermittent fasting, you can again ask ChatGPT to omit anything in breakfast. And what ChatGPT will do for you is develop a customized diet plan, as you can see here in the video. This is pretty much 80% of the transformation game. If you are able to do all of this, you will start seeing a change in your body weight. You will start seeing a change in your body fat percentage. If you just focus on these diet protocols, you will lose weight, but you will miss on the longevity and health benefits of working out. Also, you will not lose your stubborn belly fat just by diet alone. So in order to lose that belly fat, now we have to choose a workout plan, which is the second part of the transformation game. In order to choose a workout plan, we need to understand two things. Number one is the science of belly fat itself. And the second thing is understanding the most sustainable form of exercise which can help us lose that body fat. Let's go through them in that order. If we look at evolution, human beings have been living in jungles for a long amount of time. And of course, living in jungles, we did not had access to fast food chains. So evolution gave us a gift, and the gift was body fat. By storing fat in various parts of our body was able to function even in the absence of a large meal for many days in a row. Now, with respect to the design of our body, when it comes to storing fat, it starts storing fat first in the belly area, and then it goes up and stores maybe in your chest region, your hands, your thighs, your face, and so on and so forth. But when it comes to losing fat, it follows what is called a phyllo method, which is first in, last out. So the last area which was able to accumulate fat will lose fat first, and the first area to accumulate fat will lose the fat last, which means that belly fat will be the last thing that you would lose in your whole transformation journey. Now, the problem is we as working professionals, we don't have enough time. We start thinking about exercises which are able to burn the most calories in the least amount of time, so that we can just slot in that exercise in our schedule and be able to achieve that fat loss as quickly as possible. To do this, let's have a look of all exercises. I have ranked them in increasing amount of energy that they burn per 30-minute session. And what we see here is that weightlifting and walking burn the least amount of calorie in 30 minutes, while exercises like high intensity interval trainings burn the most amount of energy every 30 minutes. When you look at this table, you'll essentially conclude that HIIT is the best exercise for you and walking and weightlifting is not the best exercise for you. But the reality is the reverse. The reality is that walking is the best exercise for you. Let's try to understand through two different scenarios. So in scenario one, we have picked up HIIT. Active amount of calorie that we're going to burn in HIIT is going to be, let's say, 500 calories. The diet adjustment that we are going to make is, let's say, around 200 calories. So the total deficit is going to be around 700 calories. Timeline for 1 kg loss is roughly 11 days. Now coming to adherence, when it comes to planning our exercises, we live in an ideal world. So we'll assume that we'll go and exercise every single day. So the plan will be to go and do HIIT every single day, which is, let's say, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 days. Now, what happens if one of these days we are not able to go because we are tired? That takes out 1 day. What if there was a meeting and we could not go another day as well? That takes 1 day off as well. What if we are feeling lazy 1 day, which happens with most of us, and we skip another day? That takes another day as well. So that makes it 4 days out of the 7 days that we had planned. What happens due to this? One thing is that we lose a bit of motivation because we had set a bar very high. We had set a bar that we'll do 7 days, and now we are saying that we'll only do 4 days. And because we have reduced our exercise from 7 days to 4 days, the timeline will also increase. For the ease of calculation, let's keep it around 1.5 times the initial timing, which makes it roughly, let's say, about 17 days. Now let's look at the scenario 2. The scenario 2 is that we picked up walking. 60 minutes walking. Now in 60 minutes walking, we will lose 300 calories. We will be able to maintain a 200 calorie deficit through nutrition, which makes it 500 calorie deficit every single day, which means that we will be able to lose maybe around 1 kg in 16 days. So the actual plan here would be to walk every single day. So it will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Now what will happen? When you start on the plan, the first day you will be able to walk. Now the second day, maybe there is a meeting in the morning and you're not able to walk in the morning, then you will walk in the evening. On some days you have meetings in morning and evening as well, then you'll be able to walk in the afternoon. Some days you will split it into 30 minutes session. Some days you will split into 15 minutes sessions. Sometimes you are traveling to a different city. You'll just explore the city and your 60 minutes of walking will be done. So whatever be the case, walking is something that you will be able to sustain most of the time. It is quite unlikely that you will not be able to sustain this because it is not dependent on a trainer, because it is not dependent on the gym, because it is not dependent on fancy equipment. It just needs a good pair of shoes. So what will happen now? Because the adherence is so high with respect to the plan, let's assume we have 90% adherence, our motivation will be very high. Also, when it comes to timeline, there will not be a lot of change in timeline. We'll be able to achieve the same weight loss in, let's say, 17 days. And because you're able to do it pretty much 90% of the time, it is very easy for walking to become a habit. And when it becomes a habit, when you're able to do it time and time again, and you are creating that deficit, you will start seeing significant results over time. Walking also helps us lose fat. It has been shown that walking helps target the visceral fat, which is very, very dangerous for our health. The fat that we are able to see from outside is essentially subcutaneous fat. It is the fat between our skin and our organs. And this is not a very dangerous form of fat. The more dangerous form of fat is actually visceral fat. Visceral fat is something which is much inside and is around our organs. Visceral fat could be higher in people who look much thinner otherwise. And walking helps reduce that visceral fat. Another research which was done on Japanese obese subjects concluded that walking helps reduce the dangerous visceral fat in our body. A similar kind of research was done on obese women and same kind of findings were there as well. If you have watched so far, you have learned 90% of the entire fat loss game. The section here onwards is reserved for people who want to take the game even higher. People who want to become stronger, people who want to stand on their own feet even in their old age. In short, people who want to live a very, very high quality life. And that too by not investing a lot of time. This is a realm of muscle building and strength training. If you look at British Journal of Sports Medicine, it has a meta-analysis titled muscle strengthening activities are associated with lower risk and mortality in major non-communicable diseases. And this report clearly highlights that if we are able to work out somewhere between 30 to 60 minutes every single week, that will bring down all-cause mortality, cardiovascular diseases, and diabetes by a significant percentage, which should be doable for most of us, right? And if you're wondering how much you should be working out to see some muscle growth, there's another study which highlights that if you're able to do somewhere between 1 to 4 sets every single week, you will be able to see 64% of the maximum gains possible. And if you increase the sets from 1 to 4 to 5 to 9, you would be able to see almost 84% of the maximum gains possible. So if we are able to design an exercise routine which has 9 to 10 sets per muscle per week, we would not only be able to see the health benefits, but also be able to see a significant growth in muscle volume. Now, in order to understand which exercise we should exactly be picking up in the gym, we need to understand the type of exercises. There are basically two types of exercises. The first type is a compound exercise. A compound exercise is an exercise where multiple joints are involved when you're performing that exercise. And because multiple joints are involved in that exercise targets various muscle groups. For example, when you're doing a bench press, you are targeting chest, shoulder, and triceps all at the same time. If you are doing squats, you're targeting both glutes and quads at the same time. If you're doing a pull-up exercise, you're targeting all the muscles of your back along with your shoulder and your arms. And the second kind of exercises are isolation exercises, which target a single muscle group. For example, if you're doing a bicep curl, it will only target your biceps. If you're doing a tricep extension, it will only target your triceps. If you're doing a shoulder press, it is only targeting your shoulders. Clearly, if we are able to include compound exercises in each of our gym sessions 2 to 3 times a week, we would be able to hit that 5 to 9 sets requirement as it was stated in the report, which not only will help us with the health benefits, but will also help us grow our muscles in a much better way. Here is what I have been practicing. I started with squats to target my quads and glutes. I started doing it at home where I was doing 3 sets of 10 repetitions each in the beginning. And as my strength increased, I started increasing the number of repetitions in every single set. And I switched to barbells when I started going to the gym regularly. After 1 or 2 months, when I had enough strength, I also included leg extensions in my schedule. In order to target all the back muscles, I bought a pull-up bar and did as many repetitions as possible. As my strength increased and I started going to the gym, that is when I added lat pull down and horizontal rows to my schedule as well. In order to target my chest, shoulder, and triceps, I started with push-ups. I did as many repetitions as I could do in 3 sets. As my strength increased and I started going to the gym, that is when I started doing bench press, and I kept on increasing the weights as my strength kept on increasing. So just to summarize, every single day I was doing 3 exercises. I was doing pull-ups, I was doing push-ups, and I was doing squats. And as my strength increased and I started going to the gym, I kept on increasing weight while also adding 1 or 2 more exercises for each of these compound movements. To give some more attention to some of the smaller muscles like biceps, triceps, and shoulders, since I was visiting the gym 3 days a week, generally on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, so I added tricep extensions on Monday, I added bicep curls on Wednesday, and shoulder press on Friday. So in summary, number 1, you have to maintain a calorie deficit. Number 2, you have to provide your body enough amount of protein in line with WHO and sports nutrition. Number 3 is that you have to walk at least 7,000 steps every single day, both for fat loss and longevity. And number 4 is to pick compound exercises in the gym at least 3 days a week. There is one more thing that you have to keep in mind besides everything else that we have discussed in the video, which will not only help you with the transformation, but also help you live a much healthier and longer life. And that one thing is your sleep quality and sleep quantity. I've covered it in detail as well here. Hoping this helps. This is Vivek signing off. Like, subscribe, share, and take care.